My name is Kaisha Gabriel, and I'm the North America Field Marketing Manager for Kellton Tech. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Key Factors for SAP Hybris Success. We're going to be talking a little bit about Kellton Tech, and then Ravi will be discussing the understanding of trends and opportunities, the challenges of an enterprise business, and then readiness for ubiquitous e-commerce and SAP Hybris platform. Before we get started, I'd like to just take a moment to tell you a little bit about Kellton Tech. Kellton Tech is a pioneer of digital transformation for the past decade, with operations in the USA, the UK and Ireland, and Asia Pacific. Our clients range from startups to Fortune 500 companies, with a core strength supported through our ISO 9001 certification and CMMI Level 5 compliance. We are 1,500 plus employees strong and are a publicly traded company. Kellton Tech is a new age global IT services consulting company that designs, develops, and operates digital technologies that create new business models for our clients. We do that across 5 major pillars of services. The first is digital systems. Our digital services span IoT, social, mobile, analytics, and cloud-based solutions. Digital Connected Enterprise provides integration services in support of our digital systems. Our systems of records help with enterprise application services across SAP, Oracle, and Microsoft solutions. We also have outsourced product development and support services, digital commerce and marketing, which of course is our highlight for today, delivering omnichannel e-commerce solutions focused on improving overall customer experience. And finally, IoT-enabled platform solutions for oil and gas in the manufacturing industry. And now I would like to turn it over to Ravi Pal, our honored speaker for today.
Thank you, Kaisha. Hi, everyone. My name is Ravi. I am a core e-commerce developer, architect with specialization on SAP Hybris suite of applications. With over 20 plus years of experience, I have an opportunity to work with all sizes of companies on several digital transformation projects. I have seen and been part of a relentless effort to solve complex problems and have gained a wider perspective to understand that the technology platform is only the beginning to solve enterprise issues. In today's session, I'm going to share a pragmatic perspective of companies embarking upon new set of technologies to succeed in creating an unparalleled customer experience. And having said that, let's get on to the trends and opportunities, followed by the challenges of an enterprise, and then what it requires for companies to create a ubiquitous e-commerce solutions based on SAP Hybris platform. Here is one quote from Forrester, and what it says is that the manufacturers and the distributors / wholesalers, they are eventually going to surpass online retailers. As we have seen in the past, with the beginning of this digital economy, all of the retailers, they were taking the lead in becoming the forefront of all the manufacturers and the distributors for their merchandising, whatever they need to sell on all the channels, whether it's marketplaces or it's B2C or B2B. So what does this trend mean to us? And before we jump into that, let's take a good look at some of the few facts about an enterprise business. As I have seen with many organizations that it does not matter whether those companies are looking for a B2B solutions or a B2C solution or a marketplace solutions. These examples, as well as their business value chain, they are extremely complex. And what I also find that the biggest contributor to this complexity is actually their customer. Third part is, since every business, its markets, its pricing, its contracts, or any service level. Especially this is applicable to a B2B scenarios where they all vary by market and the segmentation of their customers. That impose a big challenge as well. For companies, those who are actually looking inside of customers, they are also finding it challenging in terms of how to define a product as well as a service, what a customer is looking for. And the last part is compliance and international rules are hanging over, and they are making this job even more difficult for organization to scale on those markets. So as we have now established that what is on the table and what we need to do, there are actually inherent opportunities when we look at this set of issues. And those opportunities are that business actually has to evolve to new reality. And the new reality, we were going to talk about it, what it is, whether it is going to be with the acquisition of a new platform, new set of technologies, or inherently we have to maneuver our practices of running our business. So we will learn that part. Part two, we are going to see that how it is impacting our internal IT, because that internal IT, there was a time when it was just a costing factor in an organization, but more and less we are seeing that the dynamics of the internal IT is changing. It's contributing a lot in the business model of organization, where the reliance of making success in the business is now being part of the IT. And IT is trying to understand that part, and it is actually reviving itself in that digital transformation part. The last part, as I said, is the compliance is going to play an integral role in the growth of an organization. So the understanding of the markets and understanding the international laws along with the complex compliance rules are going to be integral. And so we have to keep this in mind as we go and find and create a solution, irrespective. But this discussion is more on the SAP Hybris platform. But overall, these are the three opportunity for us. So having said that, what does it mean to us? The meaning is that it is not just a platform, which is, as I said earlier, is the beginning, is going to be solvent of all of your problems. So an organization and the business has to become an integral part of this. They have to play a central role. So what is the meaning of the central role? That's what I'm going to talk about it next. So let's take a look at a recipe. What does it mean when we have understood that there are problems like, whether it's a customer, whether it's a market pricing, whether it is a scaling to the new heights of the business. And we have understood that the opportunities that, we have to see an internal IT transformation. We have to see that how the business models are going to evolve to new heights. We have to see how the compliance are going to play a big part. So what's the role of an organization to see that from all the angle, this can be captured and every part is being handled in a way on the path of success. So there being three main areas which I have seen the organization, mostly the organization, those who are very mature, those who are in the business for the past around 7 to 10 years. Also the new organization, those actually start from the beginning. So there you will see, when I see and compare Amazon versus rest of the companies, whether it's a Walmart or Sears, the biggest difference is legacy companies, they actually go through more challenges than the new companies, those who evolve on a set of technologies and they can build upon it. So when I look into all of these different organic growth of organizations versus the ones, those who come from the legacy, there are three parts, these organizations need to look at it. One prime factor is that they must look at their IT as a factory which should be as agile. So they are the ecosystem from taking care of the customer need all the way from marketing to CRM to supporting the commerce function to supporting their service function, supporting the support function. It has to be intact. So I am going to talk about that. What does it mean in the following slides? Part two is the business model. So the business model is going to play a vital role. So we have to understand what does it mean. And the last is target and segmentation. What does it mean for market targets, and what does it mean for customer experience, which plays a big role in that. So I will start from target and segmentation, as a customer is centric to the business. So for that, customer experience is a very critical for organization to understand it. Most of the times, though there is a disparity between the IT organization, those who are going to implement the solutions, and the business people, those who are actually being part of the customer journey, they actually understand what the customers are looking for. But I have seen that there is a gap. So this gap needs to be reduced. So we have to ensure that, we understand that what market we serve, what are the different segments of the customers, we have the type of the customers, and what does it mean for us, that what value that customer relates to when actually they interact with us in the business. I'm going to talk about it in the following slide. Part two is how we are going to actually retain and convert those customers and retain those customers. So there are different strategies, whether it's a multivariant versus A/B testing, or the facilitation of the new conversion techniques, whether we have to have a KPI-based dashboard, which we revisit on a weekly basis versus monthly basis. So it has to be a relentless effort on a set of period where we go back over and over again and watch basically where our customers are lagging the experience, so that we can revisit it. We can ensure that what they're looking for, our tools, technologies, whether it is offline or online, they are being taken care of. The last thing is on the digital marketing side. So this is one of the biggest pieces. There are many inbound, outbound kind of remedies are there. So it has to be well integrated in your ecosystem, whether it's a transactional marketing versus it is a campaigning. It has to work so that the customer sees that doesn't matter which part of the business transaction that customer is. They actually see from your brand perspective one single message. So the digital marketing very integrated into your customer experience as well into the business model, and your ecosystem has to be well intact as part of that. So having said that, we have to see and devise and look into that, what do our customers want? So for that, I am giving here a very simple model. And the model is that you start, for every market, you start creating the segments of your customer. You can say, I have a customer type A, customer type B, customer type C, and D, and then look into that, what is value, what is the value for the customer? How do they value the interaction, with company? Some customer maybe like, convenience over reduce, a TCO versus innovation, new products, because it all depends on which industry we are working with. When I work with any company which is in a travel business versus a healthcare business versus someone who is a manufacturer want to sell online, whether it's a furniture company versus a tire company versus any company who is in the beauty product, their customers are different. And at the same time, they don't have one type of customers. And some of the customers, they are looking for one particular way of dealing with, whether it's a iPhone app, so they have to make sure that the company evolve into the mobile experience, versus some of the customers, those who are just there, maybe into B2B scenario, where they want to look into a catalog and want to raise orders. So this one, gives you a perspective that how we and why it is so prime for us that we actually segment customer based on their value chain, and then see within their values that what business processes are being impacted internally, and then ensure that those business processes, the choreography of the processes, go across all the channels, whether it's a customer service or offline, online channels. So business model. So now let's talk about second leg of those three main areas. So when we talk about the business model, internally, it has to evolve to the reality that the commercial model need to be reevaluated. What does it mean is that when an organization, especially the legacy one, from where they start, it was much easier around 10, 15 years ago, where they have set of customers. So the customer, they know that, they are going to only buy from company A versus company B. And at the same time, customer also doesn't have much peek into the market. Today, with the, availability of whether it's a Alibaba or it's a marketplaces for other merchandising and products, most of these customers today have the ability so that they can actually go and find other avenues. So the manufacturer, they have to come out of that very rigid model of just looking at their products, but they have to now start reinventing that what their commercial model should look like. That is more like looking into the markets and look into that what should be the investment strategies, and according to that they should actually create a value proposition, because it doesn't matter, because what matters today is that, if I have to sell one product in US market versus Canada market versus in India market, those markets, social and political setup is very different. So understanding of that and creating a value proposition, what is applicable in this market, is very, very important. So we need to ensure that the business stand behind it and understand this part. Part 3 is the pricing strategy. This is more geared toward, whether it's your B2C business or B2B business, but there are actually a more complex rules for companies, those who deal with, they are in the B2B scenarios, because they are more geared toward, selling at a wholesale price. So their promotions are different. And the pricing strategy is very different when you buy from a third party versus when you buy direct. So overall, all of these things must be understood and put in a plan. Supplier network plays a big role because, as I said, platform gives you the beginning, but we have to understand the value chain from a customer looking for a product, on your website, and then customer giving you an order versus all the way, like when the product gets shipped and reached to a customer's door, it has to, every part of the transaction has to optimize from order taking all the way to the shipment. So that's why these supplier networks, how do they contribute to your product? They had to sync in. So the contract SLAs, KPIs needs to be structured so that they are actually part of your standardizing strategies. Customer experience is well entrenched in the business model. As I said, customer is the centric piece, and I have already spoken about it, but always take this as your primary goal, that you understand your customer very well. So now the last part, which is very critical, and that's why I want to give some beginning that where SAP Hybris plays a part in this, and how organization they can create a successful ecosystem where their business model needs are satisfied and they actually meet their bottom line, where their businesses grow, along with they actually grow their customer base, whether it's into the capacity of any business scenario or any business type, whether it's B2B or B2C or anywhere. So looking into that part, when we come back to now looking at a platform, our perspective of looking at a platform changes, because I always, I have seen implementation on Oracle ATG. I have seen and been part of the implementation of IBM Commerce, and then lately for the last 4 years, I'm investing and heavily into all the SAP Hybris suite of applications with C/4HANA. So what I've seen is that pretty much it remains the same one platform, of this caliber of SAP Hybris provides a lot, but all the things what it comes with can only be meaningful for organizations, those who are prepared internally. So the message is very central here, that if we are not prepared to really use effectively SAP Hybris platform, it may not go long way. You may come and meet, some, deadlines, and you may come across where there may be frustration. But overall, I will talk about what this platform provides and how you can fully utilize it. So when we talk about Hybris, these are some of the Agile ecosystem which are very critical that what we need to do. So we have to see from a 6 primary segment of a platform ecosystem. In this case, Hybris platform agility, we have to well understand that what does it mean in terms of architecture and building blocks. What are the Hybris development capability I have to grow within the organization, because when you are investing in such a platform, you cannot get away from not developing a center of excellence within the organization. Because as I said earlier, IT transformation is now part and parcel of your business strategy. Your IT is not just a facilitation of a transaction. If you want to grow your business, you have to make sure that IT becomes the integral part of it. So meaning is make sure that you actually develop core practice of the development and the continuous integration, whether DevOps or all the nifty thing what this platform provides. Part 2 is digital innovation. So when I say digital innovation is, as you will see your customers, you will see that most of out of the box, it provides a baseline functionality, but you will be customizing pretty much, I will say, a lot of business processes down the line as per your customer need. So always keep on looking at your customer, always keep on finding that, where there are gaps in your customer experience from the value perspective, and see that, how those values can be customized into solutions, whether it is a omni-channel solutions which you're working upon, or any mobility solutions, but look from that perspective. Always a seamless application integration. I have seen that, and you must have also seen the organization, because one system is not everything. It has to work with all the peripheral systems, just like SAP Hybris has to work with any of the ERP systems. And I have seen with the companies, those who have acquired the company in the past, in the existing for the past 80 to 100 years, there have been several acquisition, and those several acquisition comes with different flavor of ERPs, where your front end, all the commerce communication, customer communication, that can be a streamline on one platform, but eventually, you come across where you have to interact with based on, where you're doing the business on multiple ERP systems. So that brings back a question like, that we must put focus on the integration technologies. And now the wave of moving all of the platform onto the cloud. So the cloud integration is becoming the central piece of it. So within SAP Hybris, whether it's a data hub, are moving into the future where SAP is coming up with the SAPI, that is becoming more of its future for all the integration needs. Exchange services, this is more applicable for B2B businesses where, the punch out solutions or EDI, they are also will remain in practice. I will say that I have seen it that they are not going to go away. So the companies have to think through this part and either make it a part of your integration services group or make it a part of your digital innovation group. But this actually plays a very vital role, that how we have to exchange, whether it's their own creating their catalogs or versus having their punch out system so that they can actually interact with catalog, see the pricing, and then from their own system they can raise those orders, which eventually land up in our system. Enterprise mobility and project management. So these two are also central piece of from the perspective of, because a lot of customer you will find that they actually use those mobile devices. So a lot of time it becomes much easier for set of customers that they actually want to execute or want to have the business experience using their mobile devices. And even you will see that some of your sales force people, those who work mostly whether it's a direct sale or they work in the field sales, they also do not carry laptops. They normally do business on their devices. So maybe it's much easier for your organization to develop applications which can interact with whether it's a SAP Hybris or any other ERP system which you have. So the project management is the key part, where, as I was talking about, that the DevOps and the continuous integration has to become the main part of your ecosystem. So project management, whether you are actually, when you start from that, what strategically is being coming in this quarter or next quarter, then you prioritize all of your task and requirement, streaming it into a Scrum-based iterations and take it from there. So make sure that there is a capability within the organization, those who are actually following and creating this organization governance on this, all the DevOps and continuous integration environment. So now let's take a look at it from Hybris standpoint of view. What does it mean to us? So one is that always look into and do your specialization on the construct of Hybris platform. Hybris platform is very complex, since it is built on technologies. I will say there are, I will walk you through some of those set of technologies, but it has come from a platform rich technologies, which on top of it, they have built a number of business extensions, which eventually make use of whether it's a business process or a workflow engine, or it is a business monitoring, or it is a transformation. So a lot of things are very critical. So for an organization to be really successful on a Hybris platform, the engineering construct, knowing and having a knowledge of this is very critical. Part two is pretty much the same, but this is more like, since it uses inherently a Java platform, which comes from, object-oriented principles of the software engineering principle, whether from the development standpoint, will also, not just the development, it also enforces the rules so that you actually apply those rules in your DevOps operation, whether from creating Jira stories versus a complete developer workbench where your developer is using quality tools just like Sonar, where they are actually making sure that the code quality is being checked. When you actually put all the developers in a collaborative environment, they put the code onto the Git repository. So there are some automated tools, Crucible and maybe some other tools which actually are going to check the validity of the code so that that code can be valid. And then moving into whether it is you're using Bamboo or you're using any other Jenkins, for the deployment or for any making of that. But overall, software engineering principles are the core of it. And it has to go from and be part of your dev operations. I will say that 80% of Hybris is all about Spring technologies. The front end part where your accelerator, your storefront, that uses Spring MVC, and the back end, all the business functionality has leveraged all of dependency injection of Spring. Spring core, along with a lot of other technologies like Spring integration is also part where you actually send in the hot folder, and the hot folder are going to eventually being facilitated through a Spring integration. So these are some of the main technologies along with the internally, what happens. But overall, it is very critical for an organization to grow on this path if you really want to, especially for the enterprise organization, those are big and huge, and they want to create a center of excellence on this one. Cloud integration, EDI, IDOCs, we are never going to get away from that. Most of the customer I am seeing, those who are opting for SAP Hybris, they have a background on SAP. So meaning is their IDOCs, their SAP ecosystem, and how they are going to integrate with the backend, whether it's availability or a pricing, or it is their ordering, or it is their catalog. All of these technologies, has to be well understood from your digital innovation standpoint of view. So Hybris gives out-of-the-box integration to SAP ERP. It gives you CRM, but there are times, where not only the ERP integration is required, but you have to integrate with your other ERP system. You have to integrate with ESP, or you have to integrate with your payment integration or chat servers. So there are multiple flavor of where the third party companies and applications need to be integrated. So making sure that there is a well-grounded knowledge of cloud integration, what does it mean, especially in the REST as well as in the SOAP area. Build a rich environment on DevOps and CDI CI. I have already spoken about it. So moving from here, so there are four things I have seen companies when they actually start implementing on SAP Hybris. A differentiation between what can be configured versus what is out of the box versus what can be customized. I have seen most of the changes, they get oriented from the customer experience standpoint of view. So meaning is that most of the companies, they will actually pretty much want to create their own look and feel. Not just look and feel, they want to just see the process and the value of the customer, and they want to create that part based on that. Hybris out of the box accelerators, they actually provide you some baseline. But companies, a business is very, very complex, as I have seen that platform companies and the vendor companies, then when they create, they pretty much gives you a generic, they follow the generic rules, which applies to all the organizations, but every business is different. So the customer experience challenges of the implementations I have seen are the most, where most of the changes they want are regulated because of that. There is a business capability, always you're going to customize that. I have seen probably out of the box, you will meet 60%. On the customer services, close to 80%, you will go and customize it. On business capability, you will find, I have seen that there are 30 to 40% of the business capability with companies. Either they want to change, what's being provided, or they want to tailor new functionality which are needed for the business. Integration pretty much lie in the same range, where I see 40 to 60% integration challenges, because a lot of time the company, they come from their legacy implementation of ESPs, where they are using, whether it's a web method or a MuleSoft or a Boomi or POPI or any other integration platform which they use, and they keep on using that. So looking into SAP Hybris implementation, whether moving from what their existing platforms versus where they want to go, there are always, numerous challenges, from where they go and get it. So always be ready for that. And lastly, the information management. At the end of the day, all the data which you're collecting, whether by means of all the events being generated on your front-end application versus all the transactional events, which are being captured at the back end, you become the custodian of this data, and you know that, how to use this data. So this data analytics, how do you actually create a data management platform where you can analyze this data? Because as I said, there are three main components. Platform is going to generate the data, which based on your insights, you are going to convert the data into a proper analytics, which are going to give you insight that this is where your gaps are. This is something which customer are basically lacking. If suppose you see that most of the customer, when they come onto the PDP page, because you are not providing them, the availability information, maybe like, they just go away from there. So there are patterns, which actually gives you a lot more, but they are so much confined to your business, and you understand that part. So information management is one of the biggest piece, and that actually takes a lot of time to implement it, and the maturity of the organization depends a lot on how we use that information. So let's now take a deeper look into SAP Hybris. So I will call a SAP Hybris as a piece of software engineering dynamite. This is a big statement, but I have seen many platforms, and what a SAP has done with Hybris is amazing. And it not only makes a set of technology modules available, but it goes a long way. And there are very simple examples, like really, if you really want to download it and like make it up and running, Hybris doesn't take more than I will say 4 or 5 hours. Where you can actually really have their out of the box, whether you're looking into their apparel kind of an example, or you're looking into their power tools, they should be up and running in few hours. So that gives that how much it's basically like provides you out of the box, and then you can build upon it. It supports several industry verticals, but they need to be customized to your needs. And now Hybris is transitioning over to C/4HANA, where all of their customer edge applications, from their marketing all the way to commerce to service support, all of them, they are being packed into C/4HANA. So there is a bigger pie in play from the technology at this standpoint of view, and all the things which it's going to provide as a platform. An insider look, this is my reference architecture, where I actually map what Hybris provides. So the one part let's start with is the cluster-based infrastructure architecture with multi-tenancy. So what does it mean is that it is actually engineered so that it can scale, because all the networking protocol underneath, which are whether it's a UDP or TCP/IP, where across your several nodes, how do they communicate in terms of your session failover to some extent, or to know that how to distribute your load, that is being built inside Hybris. So it provides you, and that actually can be leveraged to scale as your business grows. Part 2, it is based on a relational database technology, but it hides all the detail of the underneath implementation of your database. So what does it mean is that it's providing you an abstract level services. So anytime you want to interact with Hybris, you have to interact with its model services. So you have to create the models, and then based on those models, the model services, and you go and it's as similar to any ORM technology, just like most of you must have seen Hibernate or any other technology, but inherently this is proprietary what Hybris use. It provides you complete services-based platform where services can be leveraged using either a REST protocol or a SOAP protocol. They are being part of it. It has integrated web content and media management. I have seen, other platform where it was always very painful because those content management systems, they were completely working out of the context of the commerce server. So Hybris, combined these two work together. So it becomes very easy, when I see it's a software engineering dynamite, is because, all of the pieces of what's so inherent, they are part of your commerce server. Rich platform services, whether it's a caching, persistent security, they are a part of your platform services. So the platform also comes with a lot of extensions. And out of the box, SAP ERP integration, CRM with Data Hub, SAP IP, integrated flow, and the business process engine. That's part of it. So so as you start working with Hybris, Hybris uses a lot of workflow, and it uses a lot of events within that. So as I was saying that once you develop your core practices within an organization, on whether it's a Java, because internally it uses all those Java events. So those events are like when you create an order, order create event get created within the ecosystem of the commerce server, and then it get captured by. So because of eventing also, it makes it very difficult sometimes to understand what is the flow of the application is. Business monitoring and the events management, that's being built as part of it. You can capture those events and do whatever you need to do to extend those events. Then there are accelerators, which are sitting right on the top. And those accelerators are, kind of composite application platform. You can see they follow that design pattern. All of your indexing and searching, it has been facilitated through APIs on Apache Solr. And then your build and deployment tools as being part of your Hybris platform. So overall, it actually provides you pretty much everything which you can take and leverage it to the best of the use you want to make for your business. So now I will talk a little bit about what is the nucleus of all of these services that Hybris provides. So Hybris has a concept of extension. So the extension is an autonomous executable piece. So what does it mean? That it has its own context. It has its own metadata. It basically is completely loosely coupled, dependency injection based, where you can anytime replace it with your own services, because all of those are loosely coupled. And then at the same time, it works with other extensions. It's a event based. It can be deployed as jar. So this is the core piece of a Hybris. So whenever you are looking into any extension, technically within that extension, it is your one autonomous piece, which can be leveraged or reused by your other set of extensions. So when it becomes all the extension, when you put it together, you see that it's basically becomes a Hybris application. And you then take that application, in the form of whether baseline from accelerator or recipes. But looking into this part, so if you see there are extensions, there is a search extension, there is a catalog extension, there is a order management extension, workflow. So all these extensions, when you see from your value chain, business value chain point of view, somewhere, these are facilitating your business value. So, and when you put all of them together, that becomes the core of your Hybris application. So when I say, pretty much where does it lands into? So we come back to see that where does it actually ends up? So weaving this all Hybris platform and your digital innovation within the organization, I was advocating that invest in continuous integration and continuous development for your DevOps. For that, within based on some of the things what we do, there are some tools which we use and they are very helpful, but there are wide variety of tools. Just like for any documentation, we use Confluence. For any kind of stories, you can use Jira for that. And those are actually integrated to your source repositories. Pretty much most of the source repositories are JIT protocol based. SVN is the past, but there are still some cases. And the code quality for your within your development, use Sonar. And these are also best practices, even articulated by a SAP. So make sure that you follow and grow organization internally, so that your team they actually understand the significance of that, writing unit code, writing integration code, and making sure that that code quality is checked through these automated tools is critical for the success of those applications going live. Code review, then deployment, whether we are Bamboo or Fabric, and then all the environments what needs to be. Now coming back to performance monitoring, that's very critical, because eventually all of these environments, as you're saying, your business wants to remain up all the time. So you want them, that the performance of which you measure during the staging stage, all of that goes into the production, and then the production, you are using a monitoring tool. We use here Jabix and a Gatling. So, and for test automation, custom code, which is all about unit test, integration test. And then there is some automation tool we use, that's a robot framework we use, which is pretty much the standard which we follow here. And that's what I'm advocating, that invest in this one. So the summary, where when we put all the things together, one is that enterprise business is extremely complex, and B2B has even more wider consequences, and the reason is because of their markets, their pricing, their service levels. So they have a different set of issues, which are even more complex than one as compared to other business types. We understood that always keep customer at the center focus for your business, because most of the issues and the growth is impediment on your customer success. So that needs to be ensured that you actually invest not just one time, but continuously in understanding the customer behavior. We need to ensure that, as I was saying, that from customer experience to integration to the business capability to the information model, information management, those are the four things where you will always need a customization. So assuming that probably Hybris will give you everything is good to assume, but reality is that that's not going to happen. If you really are creating an immersive experience for your customer, and you want to ensure that what they are used to do business with you, you really want to tailor your business processes on top of what's being provided by Hybris. Focus on three areas. Focus on that agile system, meaning all the platform engineering principles. Part two is the business model. Make sure that you have well-defined value proposition along with the model for your customers in terms of that which market you want to capture. Then third is the customers. Fifth one is you have to play a central role in this one. So not just that technology adoption or making use of a platform is going to make a big change in your business. If you want to really want to see the biggest driver coming into your business, you have to play a vital role and a central role in this one, and it has to grow from internally. And lastly, what I will say is that always keep on innovating digitally and consistently researching on new tools, as technology is becoming the new economy. And as we embrace this one, we are always making sure that this is working for us, and so that our business as well as the customer, they both can be facilitated. That's it from my side. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Back to you, Kaisha.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ravi. That was excellent. I do have a question from one of our participants. They wanted to know, what is the typical implementation timeframe for a Hybris project with 80% standard and 20% customization with an SAP ERP backend?
I will say that with the 80-20 rule, they should be looking into from end to end around an effort of around 5 to 6 months. And if most of the things which I have seen that this functionality can be implemented from development standpoint in 3 or 4 months. So with all the UAT and what they need to do, probably may take another 2 to 3 months. So I will say, probably 6 months to 7 months is a good time frame to go from end to end.
Okay, perfect. All right, and then we have another question that came through. Says, do we have to look at Tomcat and Cockpit implementation while looking at a Hybris upgrade?
What was the first one, Kaisha?
Tomcat and Cockpit implementation?
Yeah, Tomcat. So Tomcat is embedded when with every Hybris platform. So definitely, Tomcat is the basis of that. So part 2 is a Cockpit framework is now being merged into the back office. So, but there are Cockpit technology is a rich, interface, they are using. So overall, these. So I will say from the Tomcat perspective, since it's inherently used by Hybris, so there is a definite need so that there is some understanding of that, and then you can always extend a Tomcat in terms of monitoring your business activities and the transactions. And Cockpit, is since most of it being merged into your back office, so that's another part, which probably can be a candidate if you are going to extend the functionality of out of the box which being provided by SAP Hybris.
Gotcha. Great. Okay. Well, I think that's all the time we have for questions at this point. Thank you again, Ravi, for sharing your vast knowledge of SAP Hybris. And thank you, all of you, the participants, for joining us. You've been a fantastic audience. If you have any further questions, please feel free to email Ravi or visit our website at keltontech.com. And we will be sending out a recording of this webinar in the next few days. So thank you again, everyone. Goodbye.